Khosla, Principal Architect Khosla Associates, Bangalore. Ladies and gentlemen, Khosla Associates, a leading architecture and an interior design firm based in Bangalore, India, was established by Sandeep Khosla in 1995. The firm headed by the principal Sandeep Khosla and the partner and principal Amresh Anand created a versatile body of work ranging from architecture and interior of residence, offices and institutes to retail and the hospitality spaces. They have in the past 25 years of practice won over 30 national and international awards, including the Inside Outside Design of the Year 2010. They were the education category winner at the WAF Inside Festival 2013 in Singapore. They are also winner of Van House of the Year 2017 in London. So now, ladies and gentlemen, I request you all to please put your hands together and welcome architect Sandeep Khosla on stage. Everyone, please put your hands together and welcome sir on stage.
Thank you. Thank you, Kamal and IIID Lucknow chapter for inviting me. My presentation logo. So today I'm going to just thank you for inviting me here. It's a pleasure to be here and see a few familiar faces in the audience. Today I'm going to talk about 8-9 projects which over the years we've kind of grappled with the idea of context in our work and where do I? So that's me and my partner Amresh and the studio in Bangalore. We are a studio of about 20 people and we do a range of hospitality, residential, some institutional work, architecture and interiors. I'll start by talking about this sense of context. We are architects who look at, of course, climate, we look at culture, we look at our environment, we look at our sense of rootedness to a site. And I think those are inextricably linked to the buildings and the spaces that we design. And I'm going to touch on these few projects which in some way or the other kind of touch on context in our work. This is our site in Maharashtra on the Pabna Lake, and what we kind of embarked to do was to build a fairly modest home for a family of 4. The light pointer doesn't seem to be working. Get a slide pointer which works. It's a fairly modest just a 2,400 square feet home, sitting on a plinth of about 3,500 square feet. I think there is a tendency in India to build very large farmhouses and build houses that are very difficult to maintain. And we sometimes get a brief of designing homes which are then a real struggle over many years to kind of look after. So I think there were a lot of learnings with this, with a very tight program. I'm sorry, I'm really having a problem with this slide pointer. We won't be able to. Okay, I think I point there. Okay, so the house actually is spatially quite interesting. The yellow spaces that you see are extroverted spaces, living, dining, and kitchen that look out into a large deck and the view. And the purple areas are introverted spaces, which are the bedrooms. So those are the extroverted spaces that look out at the view, and those are extroverted spaces. And these are the bedrooms that look out into a small court, which you retreat to at night. The house had large overhangs, and we wanted to bring in the right amount of natural light into the house. So these were bought out by a series of these skylights. These are north skylights which mimic the shape of the surrounding mountains and bring in a very beautiful quality of north light into the space. So the entire space, glows quite gently. There is also a curious kind of the walls actually stop just 6 inches below the slab, and there is a mesh kind of inserted in between the 6 inches, so that you get a good amount of natural ventilation right through the house, and the house never gets musty, in the monsoons and in other seasons, because it's always breathing. So this is, and of course we wanted to use to be as sustainable as possible. And when we dug into the earth, we found this fantastic volcanic stone, and so we built the entire house out of the stone which we found on site. So the entire project, all the stone of this project was bought within 10 or 15 kilometer radius of the site. And so we used it on a lot of the external walls, and then on some of the internal walls too. And the rest of the materiality is very humble. There's just polished cement on the walls. There's a tactile quality. There's kota stone on the floor. There's natural stone on some of the walls. And I think what's beautiful is we talk about this Japanese philosophy of wabi-sabi, is finding imperfections in things, and there's nothing precious in a farmhouse. So the walls never need a coat of paint, for example, and you don't have any furniture which you feel that, oh, it's going to get scratched, or it's difficult to upkeep. So and the process of making, and these are plywood roofs, just plywood and oil finish, and so there, all the mistakes of the form shuttered concrete, they are evident, and there is an emotive connect to the land and to the earth, to the sky, to the water, and I think this is what I meant about being rooted to the environment. We didn't really need to do a grand interior. The interior narrative just flowed from the architecture. It was a natural extension of the architecture. And all we did was actually we sourced items from Maharashtra. And there were brass and copper vessels from Aurangabad and Bidriware, and from Nasik. Bidriware from Aurangabad. We kind of looked at everything locally sourced. And so I think this was a very rewarding project because I think ultimately we are responding to the environment that we are building in. And this is an example of the kind of architecture that we like to practice. So essentially, it's a house which just sits on a plinth. It's a box that sits on a plinth. There is a large overhang protecting from sun and rain, and then skylights that bring in natural light, north light into the space. Another one of my favorite homes is the library house. I think as architects, and we were all inspired by the Bauhaus of the 1930s, and the approach, this is Villa Savoye by Corbusier, and he really thought of a house as a machine to live in. And there was this approach by Mies van der Rohe saying less is more, and then decades later Venturi came out with the adage that less could be a more. And I think what I'm trying to get at is that the homes that we build are very layered, and it really has to reflect the nature of our lives and our personalities and our clients' personalities and the things that kind of make us tick. And I think that's the kind of homes that we kind of enjoy doing. This is a house which is a nice mix of modernist ideas, but also with the vernacular. And our clients were homeowners, had grown up in Bangalore, in old Bangalore, so there are references to colonial architecture of Bangalore. And you can see the Kerala tile roofs, you can see the pattern flooring, the wooden columns, and there are elements like an ancestral swing coming into the house. And the lady was a writer, so she wanted her grandfather's desk, and that's a lovely Jaisalmer floor on the large swaths of this on the entire flooring. That's the library, which is really the central space in the house. It's a large kind of multi-purpose space for lounging and hanging out, and there's a 25-foot span library which kind of goes across the entire room, large gabled roof. So you've got a primary, you've got a north-south axis and an east-west axis. North-south kind of leads to the garden, a large, from the library into a large veranda. We customize these lovely terrazzo tiles so there are hints of nostalgia in our work. So, this is from a pattern, from an old house. We found this colonial pattern. And we've got elements like these lovely columns. Yeah, these are lovely wooden columns, contemporary interpretations of the kind of wooden columns we see in so many of our South Indian homes. A school project that we did, we had a great challenge here. We had to design a 35,000 square feet school within a span of 6 months at an effective cost of 1,200 rupees a square foot. 1,500 rupees a square foot architecture plus interiors combined. So how do you work with that kind of a mandate? And you're building quite rapidly when you're doing this kind of work. I only took on the project because the client was a very old friend of mine, and she was launching this set of schools, and we said we must come up with a typology of schools which we can replicate along different schools in South India. So we took a 35 feet by 20 feet module and repeated this, it's just a concrete structure which we repeated horizontally and vertically, and then we added these layers of intervention, which I will talk about. So the classrooms flank a single loaded corridor, and then it flanks a central open to sky courtyard, and this is really the soul or the hub of the school. And the entire building was wrapped in a skin of these terracotta jalis. And as we know, jalis kind of help the building breathe and shelter us from the western sun. And so these were actually just a module of 2 blocks which we found at a local shop in selling terracotta tiles. And we combined this in very interesting ways, in a very playful way, along the entire building scale. And that's what happens with the western sun coming in. We get these lovely reflections in the building. And when you're designing a building so rapidly, it could end up being quite brutal, and that also in concrete. So we wanted, and these are for children. You know, it's a building for children. So how did we want to make the building soft? And we did that through color, and we did that through the warmth of terracotta. And so we've actually wrapped the perimeter of the building with these brightly colored terracotta, these corrugated sheets. And we were inspired by the vernacular architecture of South India, which has got these bright saturated colors. We were inspired by our festivals, textiles, and that's what we've done. We've kind of wrapped these courtyards with these corrugated sheets. The corrugated sheets actually are metallic, so they become pinboards and magnetic pinboards inside the classrooms. So, and they've got a puff insulation, so they actually even insulate. So, the courtyard really, a lot of the teaching and the learning kind of spills out into the courtyard. The playground comes into the courtyard. Sometimes even the morning assembly comes into the courtyard. And but what I'm trying to say is that this is, from an interior space point of view, is that the interiors of this project were just a result of the stripped down architecture. We don't have any false ceiling, we don't even have any plaster on the ceilings. So it's just literally the stripped down, but it's really the play of light that comes into the spaces, and that's how we were able to achieve a kind of a uplifting and a warm space in the school with just the stripped down architecture. And we spent kind of very, very little on the interior design of this project. I'll just quickly kind of go through this project. It's a bar and restaurant we did in Bangalore a few years ago. Again, this is playing up. Okay. So this was in an Art Deco building in the Central Business District, and we wanted to actually further the deco character of this building. But I think we wanted to really work with local craft, and we wanted to kind of, so what we did was we inserted this colonnade of these arches right along the exterior. Yeah, so the colonnade actually resembles the High Court of Karnataka. We took inspiration from that, which is in the same precinct. And we actually created these series of repetitive vaults repetitive words in red oxide. Red oxide is a dying art, and we wanted to kind of work with people who could kind of do this for us. You see it in a lot of the old houses in Bangalore, and then all the walls of this project were in a green corrugated cement oxide. And the flooring was in alternate layers of Sadarali stone and Kadapa stone. And then we divided the space. It was a large space, so we divided it into these lovely timber screens. So it was really a kind of a homage to old Bangalore, or an imagined interpretation of what old Bangalore could be. And we did this series of these lofty freestanding arches for movement and to actually repeat the arch vocabulary in the space. And these are lovely chandeliers we designed the space, which resemble the like fruits coming out of stems of a tree. The idea was also to reflect on our disappearing trees in Bangalore. Okay. So this is an exciting project we're working on right now. It's the Bangalore Club is a landmark in Bangalore. It's about an 11-acre site in the middle of the city, and we have this was established in 1868 as the Bangalore Services Club, and it served army and navy officers of the British forces who were residing in the cantonment at that time, and this was their leisure space. And a lot of these old buildings from the 1800s are now kind of in a state of disrepair, and a lot of additions have happened, incongruous additions have happened over the years. And there is a main lawn which is 1 acre, which is surrounded by these gorgeous trees, and that has not been touched in 22 years. So finally we got the mandate there was an invited competition which we won to kind of reimagine this entertainment space. Bangalore Club has a pretty rich history. It allowed the first Indian member in 1946, which was the Maharaja of Mysore. And there's a funny story that Winston Churchill still has an outstanding of 13 rupees on his Bangalore Club bill, which I think is irrecoverable now. So they've written it off. But so there are a lot of these old stories of Bangalore Club. And what we did was we got the mandate to design this main lawn. And this is a 1 acre lawn, and that's the lawn as it stands now. But what we are doing is we are creating a new colonnaded veranda, a new kitchen, there's a beloved umbrella bar which is in a state of disrepair, so we are kind of rebuilding that, and stage, dance floor, green rooms, etc. This is the current state of there are a lot of ad hoc additions, so this colonnade is incomplete, and it really does not show off the old buildings. That's the current state of it, and that's what we are kind of doing. We're actually creating a lovely colonnade with seating at the lower level and at the higher level overlooking the main lawn, and that's what we're working on. And That's the current umbrella bar, which is kind of unstable because of the roots of a giant rain tree. And we are going to build a large span umbrella bar for which will replace this with lovely zinc sheets on top and a warm timber underside. So I think in these kind of projects one has to step back and really think of what Bangalore needs. And the colonial history of Bangalore is almost fast disappearing because these were ground floor homes, which unlike a lot of other cities, probably Lucknow would be another city or Mumbai, where you have the FSI to justify these houses. There's a lack of a Heritage Act in Bangalore. So these colonial homes are just kind of coming down and giving rise to large developments. So this is also our sense of context, and this is also our sense of city, and this is also our sense of heritage. So I think Bangalore's colonial heritage is fast disappearing, and our idea here was to actually put our ego aside as modernist architects and say, this is what we want to do and something fresh, but was to do something quite very quiet and say that we just want to celebrate the existing buildings, to be very gentle with the environment and kind of highlight what was there and be very quiet in our interventions to kind of enhance what was there. So I think we've used quite a bit of restraint in the design, but I think my feeling is that it will be a very kind of successful space, and we will really kind of show off these heritage buildings once again and enjoy them with, of course, better dining and service. And this is a house in Chennai which we recently completed, and there's a lot of learning from this. Of course, we are architects who love nature, and this was a large rain tree, gigantic rain tree in the south end of the property, and a lot of the design moves of this house centered around saving the rain tree and orienting the living spaces towards the rain tree. And these are the roots of the rain tree in the front courtyard. And so we intentionally kind of kept that courtyard. But the living space, there's this lovely south to north axis. The breezes flow from southwest to northeast, and the axis flows from the rain tree to the south to the garden to the north. So the living room becomes like a lovely pavilion. And there you see the rain tree, and that's a section cutting through the space, and you see the living space kind of connecting. So that's the view from the living room to the rain tree, and then we've got a series of these sliding shutters which stack at one end to reveal from the living room to the garden. And there's a lovely koi pond which is the threshold between the interior space and the exterior space. So the threshold, between interior and exterior becomes quite invisible actually, and so you can actually see that the boundaries between exterior and interior space get quite blurred in a project like this. So these are some of the living spaces in the ground floor, and going up to the bedrooms on the upper floor. There's a judicious mix of concrete and quota and timber. But what I really like about this project, and it's something which we're not able to do a lot of the times, is an architecture of patience, where we are actually able to. This project was occupied 6 years ago, but we only photographed it 6 months ago. So we actually were able to let the spaces kind of be lived in, and let the garden actually grow out and grow naturally. And maybe it was because of COVID, but otherwise we were very in a rush to complete a project, photograph it, and move to the next. But I think this was a nice lesson in kind of slow design. But of course, it was possible because the clients were very much on board and they shared a very similar vision. Otherwise, it would not have happened. And this is a nice store in Bangalore, which for a store, a rug company that we kind of enjoy working with. We've designed, myself and my wife have designed a range of rugs also for this company. But there was a kind of a dynamic curved wall which reflects the city of Jaipur, the big city of Jaipur. And there are elements in that wall, motifs, stepped wells, all these things, the forts and palaces of Jaipur reflected in the elements of this step wall. And that's the way the wall kind of curves into the space, dividing workspaces from the display areas. And we've got a loom showing the manufacturing. This is a very sustainable company that kind of employs 40,000 women across, several villages across India, 600 villages. And so all the walls are in this Banswara marble from Rajasthan. The central wall is carved out of, these leaves are hand carved in Jaipur. And so we want to kind of echo the craft, because craft is something that goes so deeply into hand knotted carpets. And that's the central divan seating with a 37 feet wide rug that we customized for the space. So basically it's just one singular element that kind of sweeps right through the space. It's a fluted wall which is reflects the pink sandstone and the pink color of the city of Jaipur. And there's just a short video. Is there any audio? If you can share the audio of the space. Well, there's supposed to be audio, but this just gives you an idea of the space. I'll just move on to the next project. That's kind of sweeping through the entire space. I wish there was music in the background, but I think we'll just make do with this. Some of the hand tools which are used for the making of the carpets, and okay. This last project I'll show you. Yeah. So this is a hotel that we recently completed. It's a legacy brand from Chennai. They've got hotels in Chennai, Hyderabad, and Vizag. And this was their Bangalore hotel, and they approached us and said, you know, we want an India modern design. And I said, India modern is a very cliched concept now. And what does India modern mean in today's, context? And maybe we should look at India modern in a fresh way. So we said, India modern should really be about celebrating design studios that are working meaningfully, maybe with craft and otherwise, across the length and breadth of the country. So what we did was we said, they came to us, typical hotel brand, they said, why don't we source from China? I said, no, there's enough now in our country, and there's enough amazing design happening. There's amazing workshops, there's product designers who are doing great stuff. So let us actually source from there. And let's have an open source directory in the lobby. So any customer that comes into the hotel opens that and they know where to get that product from. So it becomes like a museum of beautiful objects, all sorts locally. So we've got furniture from Channapatna, the toy makers from Channapatna. We've got interesting lacquer work from there. We've got textiles from Nagaland. We've got bone inlay from Jodhpur. We've got paper mache from Kashmir. We've got stuff from all over the country, and I think it was very rewarding to kind of curate it in such a way. So this it's playing automatically. Yeah, so the overriding element was this beautiful. Okay, you can actually just play the slides. Play one back. Next. Yeah, go one back. Yeah. So this was a great example of a carpet which was designed by my wife Tanya. She's a graphic designer, and it's a cubist kind of inspiration, but this reflects the flower markets of Bangalore, KR market. So you can see a top view of the flower sellers and their baskets, and a lovely lamp which was designed by AKFD in Jaipur out of banana fiber paper, and then this lovely kind of communal table with Channapatna legs. So these are the kind of collaborations we were able to do next. We had these two walls, the lovely vault on the roof, which was a shingled kind of vault which act as a unifying kind of element between the lobby and the all-day dining restaurant. Next. And we had these planter walls bringing in biophilia inside out. I mean, the name of the hotel was Green Park, so it was important to bring greenery into the space. Next. These are the rooms where they're very fresh, contextual artwork. This was also designed by TSK. That's my wife's firm, and we share a studio space. So this is the kind of collaboration we get into. The whole theme was flowers of Bangalore. So the flowers actually come into the hairdo of the women's hair, and into that rug that I just showed you. So it's a kind of a mid-century aesthetic, but at the same time we brought in a lot of contextual references to the artwork. Next. And we also try to do away with some of the boring things that happen in a business hotel. And we questioned that. Why do you need to have closed cupboards and wardrobes when people are there for 2 days or 3 days? Business travelers need to hang up one shirt and one pant and have a safe. And so we devised these open wardrobes in the rooms, did away with the desk in the rooms because people need a laptop, but they can sit on a sofa or they can sit on their beds and work. That's what the kind of pattern we realized. So we tried to break away from some of those notions of what happens in a business hotel. Next. And this is the bathrooms. Next. The corridor spaces. This is again clever artwork, which actually that number 2 will give you the number of the floor. Next. And I'll just show you a video. I'll end with this. Just pause it till you get the volume. Till you get the yeah.
Thank you so much, sir. It was Zoda Tanya for this amazing presentation. Thank you, sir, for coming and joining us. And now to present a memento, I request architect Vishal Jhan. I request you, sir, to please kindly come forward and join us to present memento. Everyone, Zoda Tanya ke saath please welcome architect Vishal Jhan, sir, on stage. Once again, thank you so much, Architect Sandeep Khosla, sir, for coming and joining us. Everyone, once again, a big hand to Architect Sandeep Khosla, sir.